Have you ever seen how a piece of paper can change everything in your life? My bank statement fell off the table in front of my son, and in 5 minutes I went from forgotten old man to beloved dad. My name's Harold Mitchell. I'm 75 years old, and until last week I was just another lonely widower in a ranch house that still holds the scent of my departed wife Dorothy. Hit that like button so this story reaches more people who need to hear it. Every morning I heat up yesterday's leftover coffee in the microwave. I don't fuss with making fresh anymore. Brewing a whole pot for just me seems like a waste. I sit at the kitchen table, pull up my usual chair, and across from me sits Dorothy's spot. Been empty for 3 years now, but I still keep her placemat there just right. The house gets awfully quiet after your kids move out and your wife passes on. That's why I keep the TV on all day. It's not that I'm really watching. It's more to have voices in the house, people talking about something. Even if it's just some talk show nonsense. I've got 2 kids. Marcus, he's 50, married with 2 teenagers who barely know they have a grandpa, lives about an hour away. And Rebecca, she's 47, divorced, always juggling 2 jobs to make ends meet. Good kids, both of them. Hard workers. Just busy with their own lives. These past 3 years, since I lost Dorothy, they might have visited 10 times total, combined. Right after the funeral, they came around more, but you know how it goes. Life keeps pulling you in different directions, and checking on the old man gets put on the back burner. But here's something they never knew about their old dad. For 40 years, from the late 70s through the 2010s, I had this side business. Every time I spotted an undeveloped lot in a neighborhood that was starting to grow, you know, where they were building new schools or shopping centers, I'd save up and buy it. Nothing fancy. Just raw land that was reasonably priced. Then on weekends and evenings I'd hire some contractor friends and we'd put up a simple spec home. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, basic but solid. Nothing fancy, but good bones. And then I'd sell it to young families just starting out. Dorothy used to shake her head and say, "Harold, you're going to be sitting pretty someday and not even realize it." 40 years of this. Buying, building, selling. Like putting money in a piggy bank, one house at a time. When I sold my last 2 properties right before Dorothy got sick, I had $450,000 sitting in certificates of deposit at First National. Money the kids had no idea existed. Why keep it quiet? It wasn't some big secret. They just never needed to know. Dorothy always said, "Money changes how people look at you. Let them love us for who we are, not what we've got." Well, last week, Marcus showed up out of the blue, first time in months. Said he was driving back from a job site and figured he'd stop by to see how his old man was doing. Sat right here at the kitchen table, drank coffee with me, complained about how expensive everything's gotten. "Dad, I swear, between the mortgage and the kids' expenses, Tommy needs a new laptop for school and Sarah wants to do some summer camp thing." I listened, offered him some of those store-bought cookies Dorothy used to fuss about me buying. It felt good having someone to talk to for a change. And that's when it happened, just as he was getting ready to head out. I was reaching for my quarterly bank statement to check something, and the papers slipped right out of my hands, scattered all over the floor in front of him. Marcus, being a good son, bent down to help me pick them up. But one of the statements was face up, and the balance was right there in black and white. $467,192.33. His face just changed. Eyes went wide, mouth dropped open a little. "Dad, is this really your account balance?" "Yeah." "Why, what's wrong?" He stammered around, asked how on earth I'd saved that much. So I told him about the lot development business I'd run all those years. You know what happened next? The very next day, he came back. Day after that, too. And yesterday? He brought Jennifer and the kids over to spend some quality time with Grandpa. 3 visits in 3 days. That's more than I'd seen them in the past 6 months combined. And this morning, my phone rings. Rebecca. "Dad, I've been thinking, wouldn't it be nice if you came to live with me? I've got that spare room, and it would be so good to have you nearby." After not hearing from her since Christmas, suddenly she wants me nearby. Tell me something. You listening to this right now? Have you ever seen such a coincidence? For 3 years I've been in this house drinking reheated coffee, talking to the TV, keeping Dorothy's side of the table set, just waiting, always hoping for a phone call, a text, someone stopping by. How many times did I sit by the front window, watching for a familiar car to pull into the driveway? How many times did I keep my cell phone right next to my recliner, volume turned all the way up, hoping it would ring? And now, all of a sudden, I'm the most popular guy in the family. Did I really need to have nearly $500,000 in the bank for my own children to remember I exist? Wednesday, Marcus came by again, but this time he had a whole different approach. Dad, Rebecca and I have been talking. We're worried about you living here all alone. Worried about what? Well, you're getting up there in years, and what if something happens? What if you fall or have a medical emergency? And honestly, this house is way too big for just one person. Too big? He never complained about the size when he was growing up here, when Dorothy would cook those big Sunday spreads for whoever wanted to come by. So what are you suggesting? Well, we could sell this place, put the money into a nice investment account for you. Combined with what you've already got saved up, you'd be set for life, and you could come live with one of us. There it was, just like I figured it would be. Sell the house, get control of all the money, and manage everything for dear old Dad. How thoughtful of them. Let me think it over, Marcus. Sure thing, Dad. But don't take too long deciding, okay? We want to get everything set up properly for you. Saturday was Rebecca's turn. Same song, different verse, but she came more prepared. Dad, have you really looked at what it cost you to maintain this place? She'd actually brought a calculator and some printed spreadsheets, showed me utility bills, property taxes, maintenance costs, the whole 9 yards. And there's the loneliness factor too, Dad. Having family around, people to talk to every day. Funny how she's suddenly concerned about my loneliness after 3 years of radio silence. Becca, can I ask you something? Where's all this concern coming from? You've never worried about these things before. Dad, we've always cared about you. Maybe we haven't been good at showing it. Haven't been good at showing it? Honey, you can't show something that isn't there. I thought about something Dorothy said to me near the end, when she was going through chemo treatments. We were sitting in one of those hospital rooms that smell like disinfectant and sadness. Harold, do you think we raised them right? Course we did. They're both good people, honest, work hard. But do you think they learned how to love people, or just how to need them? At the time, I didn't really get what she meant. Now, it's crystal clear. That evening, I was going through some old papers when I found a little jewelry box where Dorothy used to keep important documents. Inside was a note she'd written me for our 45th wedding anniversary, just a few months before she got sick. My dearest Harold, if I'm not here someday to help you make the big decisions, remember this. Our money should make you happy, not trapped. If the kids need help, help them. But make sure it's love asking, not greed. All my love always, your Dorothy. I sat there holding that note and just cried. She knew, somehow she knew this day would come. And that's when I made up my mind. I knew exactly what Dorothy would want me to do. Monday morning, I drove down to First National and asked to speak with my financial advisor, Tom Peterson. Tom, I want to make a charitable donation. Okay, Harold, what did you have in mind? I want to donate $400,000 to Sunset Manor. Tom nearly choked on his coffee, started talking about tax implications, suggested I might want to think it over, maybe discuss it with my family first. I explained the whole situation, the 3 years of being forgotten, the sudden family concern after the bank statement incident, and Dorothy's note. Harold, are you absolutely certain about this? This is most of your savings. I'm certain. My wife always said money shows you who people really are. Time to find out who my children really are. The following Wednesday, I called both kids and asked them to come over. Said I'd made a decision about their suggestions. They showed up right on time, both of them together. First time in, I don't know how long that I'd seen my children sitting at the same kitchen table. So, Dad, what did you decide? I pulled out the folder I'd prepared and slid it across the table. Take a look. Inside was the donation paperwork from Sunset Manor. $400,000, donated to help take care of folks who don't have family checking on them. The silence in that kitchen was thick enough to cut with a knife. Dad, you gave away almost everything. I did. But why? We just wanted to help you. Because for 3 years neither of you cared whether I was alive or dead. Then you saw my bank balance, and suddenly I became the most important person in your lives. Rebecca started to protest. That's not true. We always— Honey, please don't. We both know better than that. I showed them Dorothy's note. Your mother wrote this before she died. She said if I ever helped you kids, I should make sure it was love asking for help, not greed. Well, now I know which one it was. They both just sat there, speechless. Marcus tried to argue that they'd always cared. Rebecca got teary-eyed and said they'd just been busy, but I wasn't angry with them. Not really. I was actually relieved. Look, I'm not mad at you. You're both good people. You just forgot that your old man has feelings too. Now that the money's off the table, maybe we can figure out if there's anything real left between us. They left that day looking pretty defeated. I figured that might be the last I'd see of them for another few months, but I was wrong. Friday afternoon, Marcus showed up at my door. No big plans, no ulterior motives. Just brought a grocery store cake and a sheepish expression. Dad, it was my birthday last Tuesday. I forgot to invite you. That's all right, son. No, it's not all right. I haven't invited you to anything in years, and it's got nothing to do with money. Then what's it about? It's about me being a lousy son. I got so caught up in my own problems that I forgot you might be lonely too. He sat there for a while, not saying much, just picking at the cake frosting. Dad, what if I promised things would be different? Not because of what you might leave us someday, but because I actually miss talking to you. I looked at him, really looked. There was real regret there, genuine shame about how he'd been. Marcus, missing someone isn't something you promise to feel. It's something you either feel or you don't. If you'd really missed me, you would have called more than twice a year. I know. I screwed up, Dad. I got so busy being an adult that I forgot I still had a father. You didn't screw up, son. You just forgot that parents get lonely too. That Sunday, Rebecca came by as well, brought some flowers from her garden, and what seemed like a genuine apology. Dad, I've been doing a lot of thinking since Wednesday. You were right to call us out. We only started paying attention when we thought there was something in it for us. Rebecca, let me finish, Dad. I don't want you thinking I'm just some gold digger, but I'd be lying if I said the money didn't get my attention. At least you're being honest. I want to apologize. Not for caring about the money. I think that's human nature. But for ignoring you all this time. For not being the daughter you deserved after Mom died. She sat down in Dorothy's chair, first time anyone had sat there since the funeral. Dad, would Mom be disappointed in how we treated you? She'd be heartbroken, sweetheart. Then I want to do better. Not because of any inheritance, but because I love you, and I've done a terrible job of showing it. You know what happened over the next few weeks. They kept coming around, not every day and not with that desperate urgency from before, but regularly. Marcus brought the grandkids by to help me fix that loose board on the back deck. Rebecca started calling me every Sunday just to chat. It wasn't about the money anymore. There wasn't any left to speak of. Maybe it was guilt driving them, but guilt can be a start. At least it's something real. Last week I drove out to Sunset Manor to see how my donation was being used. The director, Mrs. Patterson, walked me through the improvements they'd been able to make. Mr. Mitchell, you can't imagine how many lives you've touched. We've been able to hire 2 more nurses, update the physical therapy equipment, and renovate the community room. I met some of the residents there. Really met them, talked with them. There was this one gentleman, Eugene Walsh, 78 years old, told me his kids live in California and Oregon. Haven't seen them in 3 years, he said. They call on the holidays, but you know, out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, I knew exactly what he meant. Today marks 2 months since I gave away most of my life savings. I'm sitting here in my kitchen drinking fresh coffee. Rebecca brought me some of that fancy stuff she likes. The TV's still on, but now it's more for the news than for loneliness. Dorothy's chair still sits across from me, but these days it gets used fairly regularly. And my phone? It's rung 6 times this week. I don't have $450,000 in the bank anymore. Just my Social Security, a small pension, and about $50,000 in savings. But you know what I've got that's worth more than money? My self-respect back. Because now, when my children visit, I know it's not about what they can get from me. It's about who I am to them. The other day I was thinking about something Dorothy used to say. We come into this world with nothing, and that's exactly what we take with us when we leave. She was right. I won't be taking that money with me when my time comes. But I'll leave behind the houses I built for young families, the elderly folks who are getting better care because of my donation, and most importantly, I'll leave my children with a lesson they needed to learn. That love, real love, doesn't come with conditions. This morning I looked over at Dorothy's empty chair and said, "I think we did the right thing, sweetheart." And I swear I could almost hear her say, "We always did our best, Harold." Who would have thought? At 75 years old, I learned that retirement isn't about stopping work. It's about working on what really matters. My money is taking care of people who truly need it. My children are learning that affection can't be bought or inherited. It has to be earned and given freely. And I'm discovering that loneliness isn't about being alone. It's about not having anything meaningful to give. Let me ask you something. Do you need to have money in the bank to remember that the person who raised you gets lonely too? Or should love be reason enough? Think about that. And if there's someone you haven't called in a while, maybe pick up the phone today. Not because of what they might have, but because of who they are to you. Because when all is said and done, we're not remembered for what we accumulated. We're remembered for what we shared. And sharing love, well, that's something you can't put a price on.